Welcome to Crack the Friendship Code. I'm your host, Theodora Voss. My pronouns are her, she, hers. I'm seated against a white wall with vinyl records hanging up behind me. I have long black hair today, and I am a Black woman with a dark and warm skin tone. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're seasoned here, nice to connect with you again. I've been in the learning and development industry for over 13 years, and I've contracted for some of the largest companies in tech. I love learning and teaching, and I've experienced so much of my own loss in life, from losing my mom at age 13 to my best friend passing away and going through a divorce all at the age of 26. I understand the importance of developing genuine friendships as a result. All of these experiences and lessons birth what you see now as Crack the Friendship Code. So on our show, you're going to hear from myself and other women who have achieved success in different levels of their lives, whether it be career, business, or passions. Along the way, we have all discovered the importance of aligning our friendships with our purpose, and our hopes are that you too can ignite purpose-aligned friendships and have more meaningful and genuine friendships. And with that, let me introduce today's guest. Today, we are joined by Deanna Radulescu. I want you to understand that every woman you will hear from on this show is nothing short of brilliant. Deanna has been an industry leader in many capacities. She was a VP of key accounts and business operations for a $20 million transmission remanufacturing facility. In 2016, she was forced to start over. She always had a passion for fashion, and she engaged a design company out of Soho, New York, to start her on that journey. That's when she founded Deanna Marie label in 2017. She designed, produced, and launched 3 collections over the course of a few years and successfully fulfilled a Kickstarter campaign, raising over $5,000 to produce her first collection. And then in 2019, she researched a lot about podcasting. And this is actually what drew me to Deanna. She took her own stories of overcoming trauma and abuse and put it into her own podcast called the Label Free Podcast. And it really focuses on living life without any labels. I will link the podcast and Deanna's bio in the show notes. Make sure you read up on her. And with that, welcome, Deanna.
Wow, that is quite the introduction. Thank you so much. So do I say my pronouns? Hers, her, she,
Yes.
hers, her, I don't even know. And I've got blonde hair braided, 2 braids with red hair because I was wearing a red bathing suit this weekend, so we had to match. And I've got a beautiful like grayish, bluish, gold painting behind me on my gold couch. So, yes, that's if you are here cannot see or want to know what, or you're just listening, that's what it looks like right now.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that, introducing yourself. I'm really glad that you're here. I want to highlight something before we get started. So when I reached out to you, Deanna, you put something really interesting in your form, and I just want to make sure people hear that. And it was that I think it's important to discuss how some friends can't travel with you through different phases in your life, especially when you're achieving more success. And that's powerful. And sometimes we resist those changes. And so someone like you, like Deanna has a huge story, y'all, about overcoming, and it's interesting when you start to overcome things or you start to climb new heights, you look around yourself sometimes and you're like, I can't take these people with me because it's going to destroy everything that I've worked for. It's going to destroy my confidence. It's going to destroy my vision and what I have going on. It's not about the material things all the time. It's about the intrinsic things too. So that was really powerful what you shared there. So let's get into some of your story. So
Sure.
sometimes career is mistaken with purpose, yet it's not necessarily the career, but it's certain elements that will enable us to fulfill our purpose. So for you, let's start off by like, what is your purpose? Because you've done a lot of different things, but like, what really sets your soul on fire?
I think I'm in my purpose now with sharing this message of living label free, because it's taken on a life of its own and it's become so powerful. And I think it's just to help encourage people to drop any limiting beliefs, which can be labels, anything that is holding them back, fear or just, insecurity, which could also be fear, but any of those things. Like, I like to highlight stories of people that don't let any of those things hold them back, and they're just stepping forward into their passion, which really kind of equals your purpose in a lot of ways. And so, I was a leader early on in my life. I'm the oldest of 5, so I'm a natural born leader. I have those skills from a young age, and I love to lead. And I think that I'm I'm leading in a different way now, but it's more from the heart than it is like, from a corporate standpoint or from an employment standpoint. I'm trying to encourage people to tap into that passion that they have inside them.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, and this is why we connected. Now I see why you really liked the breakup with podcast too.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, okay, on my journey to discovering my vision and my purpose, I had to break up with like you talking about like mindsets, limiting beliefs, and
Yeah.
friendships that weren't aligned with where I was going.
Yeah.
Because the internal stuff, the things that we like take in. Actually, I had someone describe it like a vinyl record before to me, a coach. They said that, even though you're not listening or taking on what people say to you, like I used to have a partner that really didn't speak highly over me. He spoke a lot of negativity over me.
Ah,
And I was trying to tune it out because I'm like, well, we're married. So I got to
yeah.
figure out how to make it work. But she was
Yeah.
saying to me, she was like, it's just like how records are made. The grooves produce the sound. So over time, if somebody's digging into you constantly and
Yes.
constantly, whether
Hmm.
or not you realize it, you'll start reverberating that sound, whether it be through a lack of confidence or, whatever the
Yeah.
case is. So picking the right friends, picking the right partners is really important. So for you in your journey, what are some of the mindsets or maybe even limiting beliefs that you had to let go of?
So before we start recording, I did share with you a little bit about like being a VP and all the businesses I had with my late husband. My late husband was the mouthpiece. Like I kind of sat in the background and I would did a lot of the listening. And I remember telling him, this is before he passed, never telling him that I'm not going to sit in the back seat forever. And because that was just the dynamic of our relationship, I made a lot of the decisions from a business standpoint, but he was like the mouthpiece and the showpiece of everything, even though I went everywhere with him. And it just wasn't my thing. I said, this isn't my passion. This is not what I want to do. I'm not, I honestly, I don't care anything about cars. Like, I really don't care. I want to get in my car and go. Like, if I never had to gas it up or get it washed, I would be fine with that for the rest of my life. So, and I told him that I will not be in the backseat forever. And unfortunately, he said, I'll support you anything. He did say that, but I don't think he was really capable of that, to be honest, just because of his personality type. Unfortunately, he lost his battle with life. He was very sick for a very long time. And it was as I stepped into my own voice and rebuilding my life, there was a lot of fear around like my elevator pitch of who I was, what I was trying to accomplish, especially when I started the fashion label and like really wanting to pitch myself to people and to get them to support my brand. It was so flipping hard. And it took me a long time to really get comfortable. And I call it self-promoting, with like promoting myself and being proud of who I am and things I've accomplished, because we all are so unique. We all have many, many gifts that, like someone who's may have been putting that groove in us that like kind of kept us from really believing that. And I've just come to a place now in my life where I love myself unconditionally. Like I'm imperfectly perfect. And if you don't like me, you don't have to get the F out of my way. Like, I just am not, I have a zero tolerance for anything like that, because anybody who's going to bring negativity in your life does not belong there, because we have enough of our own inner demons we got to battle on a daily basis. I mean, even though I'm living my best life now, I have bad days every once in a while, and those are days that you would just embrace it, cry or whatever. And then you keep it moving.
Exactly, exactly. Yes, yes. Oh, that all of
Sorry,
the
went on
things
a
that you
tangent
said.
there. I was like, whoa.
No, 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 but it's so good because here's the thing. This is why, okay, you said something really key. We have to pick the right friends because we're already, like
Yeah.
talking crazy to ourselves sometimes, or we're already seeping in with the doubt. And so, like, for instance, I have this new friend and we're accountability partners in this program that we're
Nice.
a part of. And she just speaks over me all the time that it's just such good stuff. And I'm like, I knew this, but now like I'm feeling it too because
Yeah.
I have my friends that are saying it as well. And so it's really important who you have around you because when you are in doubt mode, you have to have friends that are going to be able to say like, no, snap out of it,
Yeah.
slap you around a little bit, like, hey, stop it, get
Yeah.
get over it. You know better. You're like this. Like speaking life into you. So
Yes.
that's important. Okay, so a follow up question to that: were there any friendships that you had to part ways with when you were starting to step into your own and trying to
A lot.
overcome that fear?
A lot of friendships. I mean, I've lost a lot of friends over the year. I was like, one thing my sister said to me, she's like, you've always kept going and like, look, reaching for more and reaching for more. And I like had to think about that. This is a while ago. She said it, and it would make sense to why I've left a lot of people in the past, because some people just aren't capable of understanding your journey, and they probably either try to hurt you, disparage you, or, like hold you back because of the fear of success themselves. Because stepping into success is fearful, right? I mean, number one, putting yourself out there, like what we're doing right now, putting yourself out there in this capacity is very scary. I remember when I recorded my first episode for Label Free, it took me a bottle of wine and like 10 tries, because I was like, and then I'm like, that's it. That's the one. I'm done. I don't care. And I just had to say, F it, like I believe this is my path and this is where God has led me, and I'm just going to roll with it. And I feel like on our path to following our purpose, because our purpose can change throughout our life, right? It can go in many different directions. And as our purpose changes and we achieve, or we grow from the inside, because I know I've grown past a lot of people, especially people in my family, like, they aren't even close to where I'm at today. I wish they would, because I'd love to share this joy with them, because it's such a beautiful feeling. I've had people that I just knew that couldn't like be on this path with me because they were not in the same space. Not to say I'm stuck up. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that people that don't have any goals, that don't have anything besides wanting to sit around and smoke pot or sit around and gamble at the bar. I'm sorry, like I'm not with it. Okay. Like I want to achieve things. I have goals, and I want to go to the gym. I want to stay healthy. People that want to just sit around, and like friends that want to just sit around and eat and drink. And, I just, you have to understand like what is important to you, and then surround yourself with those people that either are living the same kind of lifestyle as you or are achieving more. I mean, you should always be surrounding yourself with people that have the life that you're trying to live. That's how I feel, because that's an example. They can be a mentor. They can, if you're trying to get to that next level, then you have to surround yourself with people that are at that level.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And even people that are actively like in forward motion towards those things, because sometimes we discount people, but it's just be doing something. Don't be doing nothing. That's the best way I can say
exactly.
it.
Yeah. I mean, there's more to life than, so here's an example. Like I used to hang out with a big group of people in the city, and, it was my first social circle after my late husband passed, and I had to work on it and grow it. And it was very, it took a little time, and as like I'm remarried now, and as I've grown my podcast and my priorities have shifted, these people are still doing the same flipping thing, out partying like almost every single day, never really accomplishing much, but sitting around and drinking and eating. And like, that's great to every once in a while to go out and have a blast. Like that's good to do, to bluff and steam, but like all the time, like why aren't we accomplishing things or doing activities that are going to benefit us in some way? Like I'm sorry, I just can't surround myself with people like that. Like,
Exactly.
and I can party like the best of them. I can throw down. Okay.
Oh, I believe it.
But like there is a time and place for that. Like there are things in life that are much more important to accomplish than doing that.
That's so true. That's so true. Yeah, I had to part ways with a friendship like that from back in high school. So every time we would meet up, it was, oh, remember when we used to? And I was like, actually, I don't. So
I don't mean it
now.
I would not be able to remember anything from, I mean, I remember some stuff, but not a lot. Like, I'm sorry.
No.
I'm not living back there. Okay. Let's move forward.
And I'm glad we brought that up. Sometimes I think we also, if we're going to be friends with people that we've been friends with for a while, sometimes we need to have a reintroduction to who we are and not expect that. And I think that's why sometimes friendships fail or relationships fail, is because we're expecting the same person, but we've all evolved and we've all shifted. And if we haven't, then they say if you're not growing, you're dying, right? So if we haven't, then we're regressing. So that's really important.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
So once you parted ways with some of those friendships, like what was that impact like on your life?
So for me, I'll just kind of tell you, like from an emotional standpoint, like I would be very sad, like, oh, there's something wrong with me, oh, like I can't like hold on to friends, and like, I would beat myself up for a little bit, but then it would just be like I was able to regain my focus and really just kind of drive forward. It's hard to break up with friends that you really had a bond with and you connected with, and but you just realize that they just don't have a place in your life anymore. For me,
Mhm.
like I'm so busy in what I do, like when someone commits to me to do something, I expect them to stick to their commitment. Like I'm big into commitment. I think that that's
Yes.
huge. It says a lot about your integrity. And so I had to break up with some friends a couple of years ago. I was actually going to ask her to stand up at my wedding, but she kept breaking commitments and was just being very flaky. And it was really, really sad and hard for me, but I had to just let her go because like that's not the life path I'm on, like
Yeah.
where I need you, if you're going to commit to me something, we need to stick to the commitment because I wouldn't do that to you. And so for me, like that was just, I had to let her go. And, there are other things that obviously led up to it. It's not just one thing,
Of course not.
So, but that doesn't feel good when you have to let someone go because you hope you never walk into someone's life and say, "Oh, I think one day we're never gonna talk again." No, the expectation is that I walk into your life and we're gonna be connected forever, and
Yeah.
then sometimes that's just not the case. And it's like you grieve that relationship. You do. I
Yeah.
know I've cried hard over lots of relationships that I've had to let
Hmm.
go.
Yeah, I mean they're like breakups and sometimes they feel like death in a way too, because you do have to go through that grieving process when it comes to a friendship. Because we play integral roles in people's
Yeah.
lives and they're there with us, we're in the thick of it and um you have to get over some of the and highlighting this because I know some of the people that listen to this getting over the trust piece and
Yeah.
understanding that you got to move forward and you can trust again, but we're always taking a risk when we're in friendship with people. It's just a matter of getting back on the horse and trying again, but getting through that grief first and then putting yourself back out there
Yeah.
is key. So this is your opportunity now to ask me any friendship questions that you may have or you want a different perspective on.
Hmm. Um, Well, I guess maybe what are your thoughts on that? Like if someone doesn't stick to their commitment, and that might not be a big deal to you, how would you handle that situation of in a friendship?
Yeah, so for me, first of all, it depends on my knowledge of the friendship. In some cases, like myself, I have autoimmune issues, and I have a friend that actually also does too. And so sometimes our plans morph and change. But
Oh
the
yeah.
thing is that we've communicated that to each other. So, like this weekend, we were supposed to go do brunch on Friday because we're, taking the day. But I told her, I said, I just got back in town. I'm exhausted. Can we do a poolside day? But we
Yeah.
still meet up, but we just changed the plans or we
Yeah.
changed the so communication is first really big and key to me.
Yeah.
However, if you keep communicating and you keep setting the boundaries and you keep, adjusting your behavior all the time, but your friend's not giving back any in return. Like for instance, if I said, "Hey, let's just not hang out," and then I don't follow up with a suggestion, she
Right.
probably would
Right.
get upset with me, right? Over
Yeah.
time if I kept doing that, right? But
Yeah.
if you're communicating and you're not seeing a shift and you're the one that's always putting in, I would, end the friendship. And sometimes, to be honest, y'all, that's like phasing out of people's lives quietly too. Like
Yeah.
you don't always owe people an explanation, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes that's quietly, like limiting the communication or starting to slow down in that respect. And if the friendship is valued, sometimes they'll, come back and put more into it. But if not, you'll see the friendship dwindle pretty quickly. Or if it's eating at you so much, you just end the friendship. But a lot of us don't have it in us to end the friendship. So sometimes the phasing out is what'll let you know where you prioritize or where you place in someone else's life. So um I think it depends on the circumstance, and it depends
Yeah.
on your part in it and having an honest part in it,
Yeah.
because I know I've been flaky because of my health and I had to like offer solutions back. I would look at the circumstances first. I try to really be empathetic with my friends,
Yeah.
and see it from their perspective. And, sometimes we are really quick in this culture with cancel culture to end the friendship super quickly
Mm.
because we feel like, oh, they should just know us. They should just understand us because they're our friends. But we haven't really
Well,
had a
yeah.
full conversation with them about it?
Yeah. No, I wouldn't do that. It's interesting at this point in my life. I never had a lot of girlfriends, like,
Hmm.
when I was younger. I don't know why, but at this point in my life, I've got more girlfriends than I ever had before. But I also think it has to do with like the work that I've done on the inside for myself, just because I'm truly just genuinely happy and joyful, and I'm at peace. I think when we're at a lot of chaos on the inside, we attract the wrong kind of friends too.
We
And I
do.
think that, as I've grown and I've overcome all the stuff that I've gone through, it's definitely brought me into a different phase, and I'm surrounded with a lot of great women now, which is just amazing.
Absolutely. I would have to agree with that. You will hear a lot of women say that, I don't have a lot of female friends, and that changes to your point when you start working on yourself. And so that is a key indicator. If you feel like you don't have a lot of female friends, we should really, as women, be prioritizing female friendships, like
Yeah.
just hands down, period, because those are some of the most valuable friendships that we could possibly have.
Yeah.
Learning from the opposite sex is great too, but our female friendships, there's so much value in them. There's so much enrichment, and there's nothing like a woman hyping you up, or like, having your back. Like, this is nothing like it. We compliment the best, all
Yeah.
of that, so
I
that's
totally agree.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're able to share that. And a really good question that you asked there. Are there any final sentiments that you would like to leave with the audience about their journey with aligning their friendships and their purpose?
I think once they align with themselves and what's important to them, and finally finding their passions and purpose, and not be surface about it, really get deep with yourself, because that's where the hard work is. And that's where you're going to kind of uncover a lot of stuff that you might not want to deal with. But once you deal with that, I can tell you that your friendships are going to elevate at a higher level, and you are going to get that hype squad, that tribe around you that have been looking for. Because I think we all want it. All of us women want it, even the ones that say I don't have a lot of girlfriends. And you have to figure out, why don't I have a lot of girlfriends? To uncover that stuff and start really working on it, because I agree with you 1,000%. There's nothing like having the support of other women around you to lift you up, and we should all be doing that for one another. And just because, I mean, we've all struggled so much as women, number one. Number two, it's been the good old boys club out there forever. It's time to change that narrative. Okay, let's make it the good old girls club.
Yes, I love that. I love that.
All right, on that note, mic drop. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, mic drop. Well, thank you so much, Deanna, for your time. I've enjoyed hearing your story, and I know that they will enjoy learning about you and hearing from you. And if you guys want to connect with Deanna more, I'm going to put all of her links and all of her stuff in our show notes. So make sure you just go in and tap in, go follow her, go check her out, go listen to the podcast. And thanks for listening. Bye.